Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it will be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! Hey guys, hope you're doing well. I'm sorry if I sound a little bit off today, but sadly I got a nasty cold that is mainly going after my throat. So I hope you don't mind the boogeyman narrating your stories today. Thank you for understanding and let's get to it. First story. Car dealer shop manager should have honored warranty. The revenge was more of a moment of opportunity rather than planned, but I'm enjoying it all the same. The setup. About 25 years ago I bought a car and also made the idiotic mistake of buying the extended warranty. The warranty was touted as a bumper-to-bumper warranty that included everything that might break. About 20 months into owning the car, it started exhibiting ignition system issues. I took it in and it was a coil. They replaced it at a no charge and everything was fine. 3 months later I had the same issue. Took the car back to the shop where I had purchased the car and told the manager what was happening. He said he'd check it out and asked me to sign a shop order just like last time. I get back to the shop a few hours later and the manager says it was the coil again and that I owed $158 for the part and labor. I asked him about the extended bumper-to-bumper warranty and his exact words were, "A coil is a standard maintenance part and the car is over a year old." Now I have owned several cars and I have never had a coil go out on a single one of them. I asked him about the fact that he had replaced that same part just a few months ago and was told it had a 30-day warranty and it was no longer covered. I then asked to see the shop order I signed and all I had agreed to was a $25 diagnostic fee. I told him to put the old part back in and I wasn't paying squat except the diagnostic fee to which I had agreed. When I pulled out my credit card to pay, he demanded the payment in cash. I was getting paid tomorrow and was poor back then, so I didn't even have that $25 in cash at that moment. I called a friend and he brought me the cash. I got in my car with the manager shouting expletives at me. The car ran, but it ran really rough, but I was able to get it to an auto parts store. I bought a coil and installed it in the parking lot of the store, all inside of 10 minutes. The aftermarket coil cost me $12. It lasted until the car died from being driven for 7+ years. I contacted Ford after that incident and the coil should have been covered by my warranty. They asked me if I wanted to pursue getting my $25 back and to have a genuine Ford part put in instead of my $12 aftermarket part. I told them no because the car was running fine. The opportunity. As you may know from my other post, I work in the computer industry. One of my clients is an auto dealership. Well, the shop manager moved on to bigger and better things and a new shop manager was hired recently. Lo and behold, it was the same guy that was the Ford shop manager that tried to rip me off. I never remembered his name back then, but I know it now. We will call him Lenny. Well, Lenny was all smiles and obviously didn't remember me from that incident many years ago. For several months I worked on his systems in the shop and everything has been going great. I did notice he tried to pull the same nonsense he pulled with me on customers, but I stopped that by going to the owner. I told the owner about my issue with him in the past and that I noticed similar arguments when I was working on the systems in the shop office where the customers would pay. The owner said he'd watched the situation and it seems to have stopped. A few months ago, Lenny asked me if I could take a look at his home computer as there were files he could not access anymore. I said sure and asked him to bring it to work. I picked his system up at work and took it home. When I turned on the system, it was obvious that he had gotten one of the ransomware trojans. I pulled the plug on the system and pulled the hard drive. I then called Lenny and asked if he had any backups. Amazingly, he did. I picked those up at the dealership and took them home. I told him what had happened and let him know that the best possible course of action would be to reload from scratch and restore from backup, to which he agreed. I also let him know that to get everything loaded and working the way it should would run close to $400. He also agreed to that. I had him sign a work order indicating the price and the labor to be done. The revenge. I finished the reload and restore and his computer is working flawlessly. I even installed Sofa's free home edition security software so he won't have that issue again. I took an invoice to the dealership and it was a little over $450, tax and all. He took out a credit card to pay me and I looked him right in the eye and said, "Cash only." Laney looked a bit shocked and said, "I don't have that kind of cash at the moment, and why are you demanding cash only?" I looked him right in the eye and said, "Why did you demand cash only from a 20-something kid for a part that should have been covered under warranty?" He looked at me a bit longer and then recognized me. "You're the jerk with that escort." I just smiled and said, "When you can pay me cash, you can have your computer." And then I walked away. It seems Lenny hasn't been too successful in life as it has been several months, and I still have not received any payment for his system. I did send him a letter that has another 90 days to pick up his system, or it will be sold or parted out to pay his outstanding balance. The last time I was in the shop, he asked me to please accept a credit card, and I told him to go get a cash advance. Next story. Karen looking for parking space blocks me from getting to my vehicle. I, 53 female, am a disabled vet and use a variety of mobility aids to get around. I also get almost all my healthcare and meds from the local VA hospital. This last Monday I realized I was out of some meds and hadn't received the refills yet. So I ran to the VA hospital pharmacy to get enough to tie me over. Since my local VA hospital is absolutely huge, I always use my mobility scooter because there is absolutely no way I can physically navigate the parking lot, as well as the labyrinth that the inside consists of. After I completed my transactions and checked in with a couple of my health providers, I scooted myself out the doors with the intention of loading up my scooter in my vehicle and getting the heck out of Dodge. Now is this being a Monday, everyone and their dog is trying to find parking to get into the building, so there are cars driving around looking for opening spots to park. As I'm heading past vehicles, one pulls slightly in front of me to block my ability to continue to move forward. This Karen rolls down her window and yells at me for trying to cut in line. She was there first, yada yada yada. The guy in the car next to me is just staring at her with this absolute what the hell expression, about to get out of his vehicle to help me confront Karen. I shake my head and back my scooter up to go a different way to get to my vehicle. She passes me as I reach my truck and realizes that I'm loading up the scooter so I can leave. Well, she decides she's going to take my spot. Not today, Karen. I nod at the guy who wanted to help me, hop in my truck, and back out the parking space in a way that blocks Karen and gives easy access to the other guy. I made sure to use all 5 fingers when I smiled and waved at her as I drove away. Next story. Drunken lady hits us with her car and sues us. This happened some time ago, about 4 to 5 years. My mom was once hit by a car next to my house. While we were waiting for my cousin to finish talking with her followers, she's a pretty big influencer, about 40k followers, in an Instagram direct. As we started pulling out, there was no one in the street. But halfway out came this speeding car at 130 kilometers per hour. I kid you not, in a 60-kilometer area. And when they saw my car pulling out, they hit the brake. It did stop a bit, yes, but it still collided with us and left a dent in our car. My mother had backed up when she saw the speeding, but couldn't help not getting hit. A woman in her 40s after the collision comes out and starts berating my mother through her window. I still remember the alcohol smell as I was in the car, and she smelled truly like a bottle of Jägermeister herself. She started spurting out racist comments as my mother is from another place with a thick accent, though she's from the same country, while calling the police. And lo and behold, the cops come rolling, and this massive idiot starts complaining to the police in a condescending tone towards us. And every time my mother wanted to explain her situation, She just started incoherently screaming so she couldn't be heard. It looked like a circus, and while my mother was talking to the police officer who looked like he was about to hit someone, I went up to talk to my cousin. I asked her if she had seen what happened, and she said yes, as she had seen it in her background while she was in the direct, and she was commenting on it right now. She had it on the direct, and I told her to save it just in case. And boy, did I hit it right. When the police officer finished with my mother, he just said to pay the drunken lad's insurance, and my mother was furious. She was the one speeding. The cop said that he hadn't seen what happened, and this looked like she had pulled out without watching for anyone. My mother started getting real upset and angry, and started demanding to file an internal complaint. But he just walked away into his car and just went off. I approached my mom just as the drunken lady was spitting on her just out of spite, saying that it was an expensive car and that she didn't know who she was. Of course she sued. Now I wasn't on the court date as I was at school, but my mom told me what happened, so here it goes. My mother took a duty lawyer and went straight to court. She presented the direct my cousin had done. That clearly showed the speeding and the collision. The jerk had tried to sue for damages, no insurance policy. Oh crap, she didn't even ask for it. We do have it. And emotional damage. She sued her for speeding, unruly use of law, damages for the car, racism, and emotional damage. We did not once say she was drunk, as it wasn't clearly visible, and they would just shrug it off. We got to defend ourselves. Her lawyer did well, almost got us. She said she had been speeding, and that she didn't hit the brakes soon enough, but then she opened her mouth. What the hell did you expect me to do, huh? You can't ask a drunken person to do more than that. You're just being jerks because you don't have insurance, right? She sat back into her seat with a smug face. Her lawyer looked at her mortified, and the judge looked at her with wide eyes. My mother just smiled without believing it. So let me put this straight. You were drunk? The judge asked her. Yes. I just got out from my husband's company meeting. Do you know what? Listen, I think I don't need to hear anything else. My mother won the lawsuit. This lady was a footballer's wife and they had been in a party with all their team. She was pissed drunk and went home in one of their cars, and then hit my mother's car. We won chunk money and she was sent on probation and some jail time, because the drunken part just added public disturbance, public peril, and negligence. And here you go, some freaking karma. This witch had it coming. Edit. I forgot to mention this, and I answered it in the comments. This cop was the lady's friend and darn, they pulled this on us. But we won because we had evidence. I can just wonder how many times this had happened, and what poor families were the other victims. Because if this cop did this with us, then they could have done it with other people as well.
And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.